All right, Steeler fans, welcome back to the second half of the Wednesday Let's Ride podcast. And it's time for the mailbag. If you want to know how to get your question answered, it's rather simple. All you have to do is find my Twitter handle. You don't have to follow me unless you want to. Find my Twitter handle at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. And when you find me every Tuesday morning at some point, I think it was around 8 a.m. Tuesday morning, I put out a tweet. You respond, I answer it live right here on the show. So let's get things started with our buddy up north, Jeff Coons. Greetings from not Matt Canada. Thank you for the random punter talk nuggets in recent days. Senior varsity. Hope you enjoyed the ones in the first half too. He continues. I think Pat Freiermuth may benefit the most from Aaron Rodgers' arrival. Few quarterbacks see the full field as Rodgers does. This is a combination to watch the season. Agree? It's funny. Aaron Rodgers, he spoke about Pat Freiermuth, and Pat Freiermuth had been messaging him on Instagram through direct message, and he was, really hoping he was going to play. And I think that what you saw when Pat Freiermuth was a rookie playing with Ben Roethlisberger, and he had a quarterback who did see the whole field and would attack the field and really would find him, he can be productive. And so I think that this is going to be a combination to watch for sure. Is it going to be as good as Rodgers to Metcalf? No, but it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. That's a good question. Let's go to Corey Eckenroth. Is it me, or does the Rodgers signing look a lot better when the team is only shelling out a possible max of just under $20 million? Absolutely it does. But this actually falls in line. A lot of people think Aaron Rodgers is a liar. He's deceitful. He led the Steelers on. No, I mean, he went on the Pat McAfee show and said that he'd play for 10. He's talking about $10 million. Guess how much is guaranteed in this deal? 10. That's a guaranteed 10. It can be upwards of close to 20. There's going to be probably around 13. That's a good deal. This guy's a 4-time MVP. I know he's at the end of his career, but I mean, you've got guys that are way worse getting paid a lot more. And so maybe he's right. Maybe he's not lying. Maybe it isn't about the money. And he even said in his press conference that for him, it's not an ego-driven thing. He said, when I've made decisions based on ego, things haven't gone my way. When I make it with my soul, his words, not mine, he said, yeah, that's when things tend to work out. This was a decision, Aaron Rodgers speaking, this is a decision that was good for my soul. Okay, I like it. Corey asked another one. Aren't you so glad that the Rodgers drama is now over? When has the inevitable felt so drawn out that it didn't have the same shine as when it was first conceived? No matter, the last piece of the puzzle's in place. Time to play. Let's go Steelers. I don't think the last piece of the puzzle's in place. They still do want to add some talent to this roster. They still do want to get a wide receiver. And so I don't think that this is a foregone conclusion that it's over. But the biggest piece of the puzzle is there, and that is Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, the drama and the saga that it was did drag on, and to the point where a lot of people were wondering, okay, like, can we just get this over with? I said it myself. I just wanted a decision to be made. It's made. I'm excited. Let's roll. Let's go to Believers. He had the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. With the quarterback drama over, for the most part, which issue is now number one on your radar? The options are TJ's contract, upgrade number 2 wide receiver, add another tight end, or an other. I chose TJ's contract. I think upgrading wide receiver 2 is important, but I think TJ's contract is paramount because that's going to say a lot about the Steelers, how they view him, his contract situation, what that does to the cap, how they maneuver that money. A wide receiver 2 would be the next on my list before adding another tight end. So there you go. That's my vote. Let's go to Matthew. He said, hey, Jeff, greetings from Wheeling. I swear, there's a lot of people now that listen to my podcast that live in Wheeling. I haven't run into, if y'all see me there, I'm not there that often, but if y'all see me in Wheeling, I think one of the Ride or Die Crew members actually lives in Elm Grove, which is where I grew up. My parents still live. My gosh, say hello. I would love to talk with you. But anyways, he said, I have a hypothetical question for you. If you had Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin in a room, and you could ask each one a question that they have to answer truthfully, what would you ask them? Omar Khan, this is actually an easy one for me. Maybe people don't realize Omar Khan was with the Steelers for a very long time. I think he was hired in either 2000 or 2001. And he was the guy that was crunching the numbers, working for Kevin Colbert. I would probably ask Omar Khan, throughout the time that he was working with Kevin Colbert, what were some of the things that he saw Colbert do frequently that he knew that if he ever got the chance, that he ever had the opportunity to be the GM himself, that he would do different? So what were the things that Colbert was doing that he was thinking, if I ever had that opportunity, I would do things this way? And that would be the question for Omar Khan. As for Tomlin, there's a lot of questions that I would want to ask Mike Tomlin. I think that if I were to ask him honestly, I would probably say, what has been the biggest change in you as a coach from when you first got hired as a head coach in 2007 until where you are now heading into 2025? Like, as a coach and as a man, what is the biggest difference? Is the difference just that you've kind of figured some things out from an X's and O's standpoint? Is the difference that you know how to treat players? I would be very fascinated by that answer. That's a great question, Matthew. Thank you very much for submitting the question. Let's go to Eric Askew. He says, what's more frustrating, the quote unquote fans turning in their fan card because of the signing of Rodgers, or them and national media saying the team will be one of the worst teams in the league? I think that if you're a true fan, you may hate Aaron Rodgers, you may despise the man, but it's for 1 year. And are you really not going to watch in fall? That's my honest question. People that say, I saw someone burning a Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey saying that because they signed Aaron Rodgers, he's done with the Steelers. It was an autographed Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey, mind you. What did Minkah do to this guy? Minkah's been there at every single phase of OTAs. I don't understand that move at all. But if you're a fan of the team and you may not like all the decisions that they make, but still you got to watch. I mean, you're going to watch. I think it will. As for the national media, they don't get this team at all. Like, there's people out there like, this is going to push them out. They're not going to be able to get their franchise guy. Do they realize how many picks that they have next year? Do they know that this has been the plan from the get-go? Is this, I just don't understand why they don't understand. If you just pay a little bit of attention, you would know what the Steelers' plan is. They're executing it to a T. Let's go to Doc M, or Southside Doc. He said, should expectations be any different after Rodgers signing? And I'll answer that first. I think yes. Absolutely. I think expectations are different because Aaron Rodgers, while he is not what he was when he was 25 or 30 years old, is still a very capable quarterback and way more accomplished than Mason Rudolph. And while I understand that Mason Rudolph could have done the job and probably would have won them 9, maybe 10 games if they're lucky, the expectations are higher for Aaron Rodgers. You're looking at, you got to win 10, and maybe you can get to 11. If things really go your way, the ball bounces your way, all the calls go your way. Now, maybe you're talking 12, but I don't think anyone in their right mind saying that Mason Rudolph could have been at that and in that stratosphere in terms of win totals. He continues, is there enough talent on the team to compete for a playoff run? I actually think that there is. I have questions and I have concerns. Talked about the offensive line a lot. That's definitely a concern. The defense, relying on some young players like Derek Hartman early, it's going to be, we'll see if that can hold up. But I think the defense is going to be better. I think the quarterback's going to make the offense better. I think the running game should be better. And the last question from Doc, how much of the talent is based projected growth of players? A lot of it is. You're banking on Zach Frazier taking another step forward. You're banking on Troy Fautanu being a right tackle that is dominant. You're banking on Broderick Jones being able to switch to the left side. Mason McCormick, I could go on and on. Again, offensive line is a concern and a question. Let's go to B. Selfridge. Hey, Jeff, could you remember the last time the Steelers had this much draft capital? And if this season doesn't go very well, would it make sense to get a new head coach, give him the draft capital to help build a new team? Just my thoughts. I cannot remember a time when the Steelers, who are now slated to get, I think, 12 picks. I think they're slated to get 12 picks. That I cannot remember a time where they've been slated. They don't have them yet. So, but again, these are projections. But I don't know. They're not going to get rid of Mike Tomlin unless he retires. So let's just can that talk until his contract's up or if he says I'm done. All right, let's go to Brandon Diaz. Brandon Diaz says, we're back, baby. Ride or die crew. First question, DEFCON level for TJ skipping mandatory minicamp. So remember, if you're a DEFCON level 1, that is the worst. 5 is the best. I'm going to say that the DEFCON level for TJ skipping is a 3 because I think it's a bad look. The optics are bad. I talked about that in the first half of the show. Next, does a TJ deal get done, or is this the last year we see him? I think a deal does get done. While the Steelers do have options, and I think the Steelers they could absolutely execute those options, I think a deal gets done and they give him like a 3-year extension. It's just, I'm really curious about the money, the numbers. And then last thing, 3 things to look for in minicamp and why. Well, that's interesting because I actually wrote the article for SteelCurtainNetwork.com. And I did 5 storylines to track during mandatory minicamp, some of which we already have answers for. So the number one thing was, will TJ Watt show up? He is not. He is not there. So that would be one thing. A second thing I had said, Aaron Rodgers, getting to see him in the black and gold. Okay, so he's going to be there. We saw that. Number 3, DK Metcalf doing football-like things. We got to see that as well. So the other things would be rookies getting acclimated to the system, whether it's Caleb Johnson, whether it's Jack Sawyer, whether it's Cam Hayward mentoring Derek Hartman and Wyatt Black, Will Howard learning from Aaron Rodgers, anything like that. And the last thing, and I think it's the most important and paramount, is no bad news. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see any bad news. You don't want to have a situation where someone gets hurt. Think about the Donald Parham ruptured Achilles tendon. You don't want to see those. You don't want those bad news. So that's what I would say. All right, let's go to Jeff's. I think it's Slattery. Said we should see an uptick in points with Rodgers as quarterback in 2025. What is a realistic points per game for this offense? As it stands right now, without that proven other wide receiver, I would say that think about like 23 to 24 is realistic. I don't think they sniff close to 27 or anything like that. But if they can get another good wide receiver and the running game's working, they're not turning the ball over, the defense is doing their job, time of possession, I think 23 is that's the number that comes to my head first. I think that's realistic, and that's what you asked me. All right, let's go to Stephen McCoy. He said a realistic stat line for Aaron Rodgers this year. I don't know. Everyone's going to point to last year's numbers and last year's totals and say, well, this is it. And I don't think it is. It was a bad Jets team last year. They were playing from behind a lot. He was getting beat to hell. And so I don't know. I'm going to think about that and try to give you a projected stat line. Next question from Steven. One player you think will break out on offense or defense this year? I'll do both. I'll do one on each side. On offense, and I'm going to say that it's weird to say it's a breakout player because he's been with the team and just got a second contract. I'm going to say Pat Freiermuth. I think Pat Freiermuth has a career year in many categories with Aaron Rodgers if he can stay healthy. On defense, a breakout year, I'm thinking that could be someone. Part of me thinks maybe it's someone like Peyton Wilson. Peyton Wilson playing more than we thought, tackles, pass defenses, his coverage skills have already been on display. I just will never forget the interception he had of Lamar Jackson last year at home when he's covering Justice Hill on the wheel route down the sideline. Just amazing stuff. So I'm going to say Peyton Wilson on defense, Pat Freiermuth on offense. All right, let's finish this up like we always do. Steeler Fan 69 provides a couple jokes, not questions, jokes. The first one, I was once kidnapped by a bunch of mimes. They did unspeakable things to me. Next, before marriage, I would sit at stoplights for hours because I had no one to tell me when the light had turned green. And lastly, Steeler Fan 69's joke is, in the rain, Chuck Norris does not need an umbrella. Even the raindrops avoid him. You can never go wrong with a Chuck Norris joke. I love Chuck Norris jokes. They're hilarious. Like the one where, when Chuck Norris does a push-up, he is pushing the earth down, not pushing himself up. And also, did you know that there's a cure for cancer? It's found in Chuck Norris's tears. Too bad he never cries. All right, folks, that does it for me. I hope you all enjoyed this show. I know I did. It's good to have some real news to talk about, and we'll be disseminating all this stuff at Steel Curtain Network on our podcast platform and at steelcurtainnetwork.com. So make sure you check us out on all those platforms. That does it for me. I will be back on Friday. We finish these out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday, folks. Go Steelers.